Hi, my name is Austin Johnson, and I did my presentation on tofu. So what is tofu? Tofu is essentially condensed soy milk that is pressed into solid blocks in a process similar to cheese making. There are many different ways to make tofu depending on how hard or soft you want your tofu to be in the end. For example, if you're trying to make tofu to be a substitute of a meat dish, you might want it to be more firm than, say, just a regular snacking dish. In its simplest form, tofu is bland and almost tastes sour with a spongy texture. However, because of this consistency, it is a great flavor absorbent and will taste anything like you want it to. And with the use of the right seasoning and the right cooking methods. A little bit on the history of tofu. It is said to have originated in China during the 2nd century BC. Tofu has evolved in different ways since then, but started out as a bean curd type of dish by flavoring soybeans with seaweed and nagari. Throughout the years, tofu evolved into what it is today, a pressed curd resembling the texture of cheese. Around the 8th century, tofu took flight in Japan and other countries before eventually spreading to America around the 1960s. And then now in 2022, we have different varieties of tofu in America and around the world, ranging from soft tofu to super firm tofu. And a little bit of facts on the nutrition composition of tofu. The serving size for tofu is considered to be around a half of a cup or 126 grams of raw firm tofu. And in this includes 181 calories, 11 grams of fat, 21.8 grams of protein, 2.9 grams of fiber, and 17.6 milligrams of sodium. And tofu can actually be useful for preventing disease. Studies have shown that consumption of soy on the regular has been known to decrease markers for cardiovascular disease. And then soy protein increases renal function, which is a way of increasing the overall functionality of the kidney. And overall, since tofu is a clean source of protein with relatively low levels of fat and cholesterol, while having high levels of protein for its serving size, makes it a great choice of food or a substitute for a meat dish. So how do you tell if your tofu is high quality? Depending on how you prefer to have your tofu prepared, there's always different ways to define tofu as being high quality or not. The most popular way to have tofu prepared is by frying it or making it firm or extra firm, kind of resembling meat, how you cook meat. But in general, high quality tofu will be elastic and more chewy than it is chalky. In other words, tofu should be more springy or spongy than it is of a crummy texture. A little bit on the agricultural information of soy itself. Since I said the main component of tofu is soybeans that has been soaked in water, dried, and then crushed and curded. So soybean crops can be harvested sustainably by practicing farming practices such as crop rotation or reduced till/no-till agriculture. Harvesting soybeans is a very sustainable process since it is regenerative and it can be repeated for as long as it is needed to. So how is tofu prepared? You want to cut extra firm tofu into cubes or slabs and press for 1 to 3 hours, depending on how firm the tofu originally is. You then want to season, and you can even marinate the tofu slabs or cubes for as long as you want. You can use your own seasoning or marinade, it just depends on you. You can cook tofu in many different ways depending on your preference. Usually the cubes of tofu will be tossed in a pan with oil and cooked like any meat would be. It will be done when the outside edges are crispy brown and you could tell the inside is also squishy or spongy. So my personal experience with tofu was great. I had some very good orange tofu. It was marinated in orange juice and soy sauce and seasoned with salt, pepper, garlic salt, sesame seeds, and ginger. I made the sauce out of orange juice, sesame seed oil, garlic, and soy sauce, and covered the tofu with the sauce and ate it on top of white rice. I also had a little bit of zucchini noodles with the dish. And here's the picture of the dish. We have the orange tofu covered with the sauce on top of white rice with some zucchini noodles and sesame seeds covered. So how does this compare with my social cultural values? Before this presentation, I had never tried tofu before, but was surprised at how great it tasted. Another fact that I found interesting is how valuable tofu's nutrient composition is. It is high in protein and low in cholesterol while being a clean source of protein. Since I am not vegan or vegetarian, tofu was something different for me to try, since it is commonly used as a substitute for chicken or other meat products. But its popularity has risen with the rise in the social popularity of vegetarianism and veganism. And from a cultural standpoint, tofu is more popular in Asian cuisine and has remained a staple dish for centuries now. While in America, it has just recently become popular with, like I said, the rise of vegetarianism and veganism over the last 10 to 12 years or so. So yeah, and this is my works cited. Thank you.